Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xerath Prevails. We're going to talk about modding and 5 characters that you might be modding poorly. Specifically, we're going to be focusing on non-obvious characters that want health builds. I'll give you guys the reasons for those. It's, kind of a fun theme to be looking at. So let's actually do that just as soon as we can. Thank my patrons, guys. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate everything you guys do for me. I couldn't do without you, and you are the best. If you want to support the channel for free, guys, just a reminder, all you've got to do is hit that like button, subscribe, comment, help me mount the frickin' algorithm. Health mods help me mount the algorithm as well. I don't even know. I had to pause there, guys, because I had to sneeze, so I lost my train of thought. But let's just not waste any time. Let's go talk about these mods, shall we? It's gonna be so good. We'll see. Whoa. This is madness that we're in the game, apparently. And I like that we just cut off the way too obvious. It's too obvious. The next one is too obvious, just with a little left alignment. Which, as I do the left alignment, I go in the opposite direction of what's left to, yeah. So it's a good time. Camera angles and tricks. It's madness. Now, here's the thing, guys. There are a bunch of characters that are really obvious that you want a lot of health on. Ray really likes a lot of health. Sid the Eternal really likes a lot of health. For obvious reasons, I would hope, because of the lifeblood that she does, because Sid the Eternal just needs to sit there and be healthy, because he just lives in a health spa, basically. That's his whole backpack. What do you think is in that backpack? It's just a bunch of band-aids. It's madness. So, otherwise, we have, also Kat is really obvious because she is gonna be really tough to kill on a Jedi Master Kenobi team, and she gives herself 50% extra health. Padme is also a lot of times on that team, but even if she's not, she's on that team, she's on her whatever team, she's giving people protection up based on a percentage of their health, and she does, if she's the lead, she also does damage based off of that. Traya is one of those characters who you just want a lot of health, because that health pool really builds into something crazy, especially with the Omicron. Grievous attacks based on, his damage is based entirely off of his health. Maul's his attacks are based half of the way on his health. Oldaka needs a ton of health to survive. Malgus does his huge hit based entirely on his health pool. And Crew is also really, really obvious because he has so much regeneration based off of his health. Now, it gets maybe a little less obvious, like Jabba, it's he could maybe have some protection, that might be okay, or maybe you want some tenacity, you don't want to, you want some speed on him. There's some other factors involved, but he still wants a ton of health, because that's, he gets a lot of protection up, he gets a lot of stuff. Kenobi also, because of the people he hangs out with, so if he was just hanging out, if he was just a generic tank, and you just were going to put him on whatever team, you'd actually want to put protection on him, because that would be the way to maximize his total survivability. You want to maximize armor and protection, but because he's hanging out with Galactic Republic characters like Jedi Master Kenobi or Padme lead, then he really wants a lot of health, because they really do a lot with people with big health pools. IG-11, it's he has a pretty decent base protection stat, and he wants to, there's other things he wants to do actually, but at the end of the day, he does a lot of health because of the interactions he has with Queel, because of the interactions he has with a lot of people. Enfys Nest, it's you want initially, you're man, we want tenacity, we want damage, but then it turns out that if you put a ton of health on her, that she is able to just survive so much longer because of her, the bonus protection that she gets is based on her total health pool. And so, you know, like taking some tenacity off of her and putting it into health adds to her survivability and annoyingness. And then IPD has a thing where it's like, well, why do you need health? Because you're just going to blow yourself up. But the best way to use IPD in general, unless you have some weird datacron that's kind of necessitating something else, is you're going to want to put a lot of health on him, because he gets like double health in his kit. So those are like the really obvious ones. They're pretty obvious. So now we have the slightly less obvious, and the first one is going to be Snips. And I mean, we're covering basically the whole Jedi Master Kenobi team here, guys. But here's the thing about her. A lot of times people have a failure point of they don't realize that Cat is like too thick to be able to get through. So they use Jedi Master Kenobi, they target your opponent's Cat, and their Cat has a crazy amount of health. I mean, okay, so what is mine at? If they're attacking the Jedi Master Kenobi team, you know, I have speed on her, but then I also have 102,000 base health, and that's probably too much because she's giving herself 50% more health. Jedi Master Kenobi's giving her another 25%, and you know, it's all, she's usually really high relics, and like people can't chew through her twice because there has to be savior on that team. And so the idea is, okay, so what we're gonna do, like the more nuanced way to approach killing this this Jedi Master Kenobi team, and this is you know, for a lot of squads anyways, but if you're using Jedi Master Luke to counter it specifically, then you're like, okay, the more nuanced view on how to counter this team is to take out Snips, because, well, here, let's actually just look at the team real quick, guys. So this is like the standard Kenobi team, right? I mean, like in Arena, you might see General Skywalker instead of Padme or something, but in general, this is the team that you see, and people say, okay, so the main goal is you need to get through the savior mechanic real quick on Jedi Master Kenobi first. Like, that's the thing that you really want to focus on, is getting through that, and then if you can get a kill, great. But then if you need to kind of hit the reset button, and then like you can't kill Snips right away, or you can't kill Cat right away, like you can just target them a little bit later once you have your ultimate and things have kind of progressed a little bit. So the idea is you get through that. You can chew through Snips way easier, because most people have her built to be like, they want her to be fast, or they want to take advantage of, you know, she hits pretty hard, and so, you know, she's like this crazy attacker. People don't realize that the reality is she's way more valuable to you. Like, the person who's doing the most damage here is going to be Cat, and then probably like Kenobi is going to be like, she's just basically a glorified Dispel. Like, that's what she is. She assists. I mean, she does okay. She does some damage, but her goal isn't to do damage from this team. You know, and like there's cool things like she gets speed, and then when she's with Jedi Knight Anakin, sometimes she gets double the speed, and she gets all this cool stuff. She also has plus 40% max health, however, and if you make her really thick, then she's still not, there's not much drop off here, guys. Like, yes, she's a little bit more susceptible to being taken out than Cat, but this is going to be a much tougher team to beat if you make your Snips pretty thick as well. So here, I'm going to show you guys what it's like if you add a datacron to it as well. Hold on. I feel like people don't take datacrons into, like, their impact into account when they're modding as much, and it makes things a little bit more, I don't know, maybe more impressive or something. But okay, so the datacron that we have here is, like, I think it's a 50% one. Yeah, this is one that I used sometimes, and, you know, Scoundrel Ally with no revive. I mean, this is going away in a couple days, but this is just an example of if you add health to it. So if you give that 50% health cron to her, she is suddenly, you can see she's 107 1,000 health, and then that's before you add the 50% she's getting from Cat, the 25 she's getting from Kenobi, and then whatever other things, you know, like Padme is giving her stuff, like she becomes very, very difficult to kill. And so just modding her for a lot of health, and then, I mean, you know, like give her speed, give her some offense or whatever, but in general, you're just going to want to give her lots of health, and then give her health secondaries if you can. You can see I didn't do that for this. Defense is also a really good factor, a really good stat to give her, just to make sure she's pretty survivable. Like flat health, you can see like she's not the most important health-wise on my roster or something, but we do want to. I mean, this is a pretty good mod. It's pretty fast. Gives some protection as well, but the health is where it's at, because any bonus protection that she gets from Padme or Kenobi, she's also just drawing from her health pool to get whatever the bonus protection is. And so yeah, the health here and then health secondary is kind of fun. You know, just you don't have to have the fastest speed here. Just lots of health if you can find it, guys. Lots of health, and then like a speed arrow instead of a health arrow. That's fine. You want to see my final speed here? It's plus 120. So she's a really slow character in general, which is ironic because she's unslow in the game. All right, let's go to the next character, shall we? All right, we're kind of here now. We're not probably going to go as in-depth into all of these other ones. So Vendor Chewy, maybe this is obvious to you people, whatever that means. But man, he's someone I keep saying like I really want to get him to do, like to be able to like be Relic 9. I would love him to be Relic 9 because his damage is actually based off of health. Like his basic is negligible. He doesn't do anything. Most people see him as a revive bot, which I don't blame you for doing that. He is, and you want him to be survivable. And so you have, which one is this? Yeah, okay, so there's like this thing at the very start, this alchemical transformation here, where we have he has 40% less max protection, and he just loses that. He doesn't like turn his protection into health or anything. It just like goes away. He has 1,000 of it, and suddenly he has 400 less of it. But then he has 80% more max health, and then he does other stuff. But that's the big thing here. And so people are like, oh, cool. So we'll put health on him. That makes sense. And I mean, so maybe it's obvious in that regard. However, the biggest thing, guys, man, and the reason I love him at high relics. I mean, he's only at 7, but holy cow, he can hit so hard. It's because of this special here, guys. The special saves you so much. It's the hardest hit on your squad. You'd think like, okay, Dash is going to be my damage dealer, and my Dashmage dealer. You're going to have like other characters, like Bam is going to do a lot with his Whistling Birds, and I can't deny the effectiveness of those characters. They're very strong. Kawil is going to put shock on them. Like there's a lot of cool interactions, and Young Han, if he's on the team, or Landino, like they both hit really hard, or they ramp up depending on which character it is. But the hardest hitting character that you're going to have on a Dash team is going to always surprise you if you have him modded right, and it's just his it's this one. It's his special here, guys. It's a cooldown 4, so he doesn't get it all the time, but he deal physical damage based on Chewbacca's max health instead of his attack damage. And it hits the enemy twice, and this just vanishes people, guys. It is super impressive. He just destroys people with this, and yes, he becomes more tanky as things happen and progress. Keep in mind though, folks, he is a tank, and what you get from a tank going from 8 to 9 is insane. Here, let me see if I can find a Relic 8 tank. Here, I don't want to look at Royal Guard yet, because that'll spoil things, but look at what you get. Like, so tanks going from 8 to 9 get more boost, and I guess I can't guarantee that it's the exact same boost from 8 to 9 that Vandor gets as what Crew gets, but I mean, you really accumulate oh gosh, that was bad. A lot of health. Now, you get a lot of protection as well, which is, like we covered, just kind of vanished into thin air for Vandor. But, I mean, you get that extra, what, 12,000 health or whatever. It's really nice, and that just goes directly into damage for your Vandor. So a lot of fun on him. I would love to get him higher relics because it's one of the only characters in the game that actually goes up in damage by a huge, significant margin from 8 to 9, because most characters are just kind of stuck into this well, I mean, we could even look at a tank here. You like going from 8 to 9, your damage only goes up by like 100 or so. Even on attackers, it's not much. So most people are like, well, you don't get much more damage when you go to 9. Vander Chewy does. So I would love to do that, guys. Absolutely worthwhile. Now, Sortie is another character that. Well, hold on one second, guys. Let me go back to the Vandor for 1 sec. Alright, so the other thing I would advise, guys, and I don't really have my modding reflecting this that much, is you want him to have a little bit of crit chance as well, because those big hits only happen when you, the biggest hits only happen when you crit, so that's not your main focus. It needs to mostly be health, and that means a health arrow and everything. And he's not my most important character either, but like this is actually a pretty good candidate for upgrading, because you need speed. But if you miss, you could get flat health, or you could get crit chance. And even the percent protection does add up. It just doesn't do as many cool things for you. Yeah, like just trying to give him as much health as you can. And then if you can find some crit chance to go with him, that's part of the huge damage. I don't think he has much chance or much bonus crit chance, so from other places, maybe Dash gives him a little bit, I don't remember, but a little bit of crit chance is actually not unwarranted for Vandor as well. Now, Sortie's another one. A lot of people want her to be really fast, and I get that, you want her to be fast. Other people are like, okay, put potency on her because she has this ability, her AoE that does inflicts target lock. That's cool. That's not bad. She has a lot of cool stuff, like when she has her lead. Let's see, so she gets the plus 30 speed, and then with spare parts, let's see, you get the crit chance in offense. Oh, here we go. At the start of the battle, if all allies are droids, so she gains extra health and 40 speed. So you don't want to. So she starts with plus 75 speed, which is about Mara Jade only gets 70 speed. So this is a pretty huge boost. So I don't have her as fast as a lot of people do. 315. You give her another 75, and you guys can do the math for me if you want. But 390 speed is pretty nice. And then if you put it with BB-8, then she becomes really quick. The big thing about her, though, guys, is so you want her to be fast. I get that. I honestly have been considering, if I had the right mods, I just don't really quite. I need to shake loose a few mods. I would love to get her a fast health set, and then just replace the speed from these with just all health mods, or some defense. Defense goes a long way. However, she does have mechanics in place that you kind of want to lean toward a lot of health. The biggest part of it, folks, is when she is being hit, she's consistently gaining all of these stacks of bonus protection. You can see, hold on a sec. Yeah, alright, here, sorry guys. Just needed to take a minute to look at it. So, she gains all these things. This is her unique. So she's got her VIP thing, which is really nice. But then, let's see. So even when the VIP goes away, so the weakest other ally gains VIP. When the VIP is damaged, they get stealth, all this cool stuff. Beyond that, though, whenever Sortie is damaged, allies with VIP recover all this stuff. Let's see, they gain offense up. Sortie then gains defense up and 50% protection up, stacking for 2 turns. If all allies are droids at the start of the battle, they're immune to turn reduction, all this stuff. The big thing here, guys, is she gets the 50% protection up stacks, and she gets those stacks real quick. She accumulates them as people are hitting her. She's basically like almost healing herself, because protection up 50% is 50% of her health it as like just bonus protection as a stat. So I mean, she's almost 100,000, we'll just say it is. Every time you hit her, she gets a stack of 50% protection up, which is, like 50,000 protection just as a stat. And then if you get that 5 times, I mean, it's a crazy amount, and it keeps replenishing. And it doesn't matter if the VIP is gone, she just keeps getting it and keeps getting it. And so you see people using like Wampa on Sortie teams, and this is one of my best traps, and I haven't been able to set it for a while because she has a pretty interesting datacron that changes her dynamics entirely. But if you're outside of that, one of the best trap teams you can set is going to be a Sortie team, because with a ton of health on Sortie. So you're gonna lose your ads, and that sucks. But Wampa will go through, and unless you're facing someone who's really savvy and knows how to use that auto button to the best effect, then she can time out even Relic 9 Wampas. I've done it a lot of times, even against people who are in the top 50, because they want to get a quick, cheap score, and they just can't deal with her constantly just regrowing 250,000 protection every time she's hit for anything. And so eventually like Wampa can ramp enough to do enough damage to her to take her out. But if you can actually, the next step in her evolution, I mean, obviously getting her relics would be nice, but the other thing for her modding would be if you can replace these speed mods with like, you want her to be about right around 400 speed if you can, but plus 135 is something that's achievable these days with all the different modding equipment that we have and upgrades. You can do this with just pure health and defense sets. I would just mix them in together. Having a lot of armor also really frustrates that Wampa. So I mean, that's another thing that you can really look into as well, guys, is getting a datacron with good armor or good defense. That's really going to help as well for her. The other thing to keep in mind too is that if you put her on a team that has a lot of mastery, then she can also has as part of her mastery, she has dodge chance here at 15.75. It goes up to 21 once you get to 8, and over 20, I think it's like 26.5 once you get to Relic 9, which I'm not saying you should Relic 9 her necessarily, but if you can get someone like Ray, for instance, will boost her total mastery up by a ton and make it so that you also just can't hit her, and when you do hit her, she just has a ton of bonus protection. So good luck, very, very tough character. Health is really a really key fundamental thing for Sortie though, guys. And people argue this with me all the time, and I'm like, man, this is how you get holds. Like, you can put a speed arrow on, but make sure it has some health on it. That's all, folks. That's all she wrote. Now we have Wampa here, and maybe this is the most obvious one that wants health, but he's very conflicted, because you see I have all these tenacity sets on him, and that's because like his primary prey, if you will, is Iden, and Iden had, like, there's this arms race, right? At least initially there was this arms race of like, well, if you put enough potency on Iden, that you can get an initial stun with her move, because she'll always go first because she gets that 100% turn meter to start. But if she can get that initial attempt to stun on him, and if it works, then wonderful, you can just kill him before he gets to move. Otherwise, he'll just ramp up and kill your whole team. There's some other sneaky ways you can mod Iden to be able to make Wampa pretty tough, and like as a tough counter, and you can also, datacrons can play into it, but the main thing is to remember, if you put enough tenacity on him, he can just mathematically ignore Iden's stunning attempts. Like, unless datacrons come into play, which they can, look out for Iden's with 100 plus 100 potency or whatever. But if you, barring that, like, he's got a lot going on. Like, he just has plus 100% tenacity. So you want to put all the sets on him, and you want to probably a tenacity cross on him as well. So for your total 167, and I forget what Iden's max is, but I mean, if you get him to 267%, like, she's not really going to be able to eclipse that. She can't get into the 200s really. And so, like, this is probably enough. And then after that initial shock shot from her, then he ramps up his tenacity too much. Like it increases every time he gets hit. Then his tenacity. So putting a lot of tenacity on him is kind of like oh, okay, well, that's cool. Good job putting some tenacity on him. But then it's kind of wasted after that, because after that it's just like, well, tenacity down will just totally negate any tenacity that you have, and then you know, otherwise there's nothing that can naturally ramp up to beat this. So anyways, moving on to that, his health is another big factor for you. So you know, you have like a speed arrow is actually pretty good here. You can see you want some potency on him. He's actually a very stat hungry character, because he likes offense as well. Potency, he wants that tenacity if you can. Tenacity sets, of course. And then you know, like offense is really nice, but then health, guys, just health on him more than offense. You want health, which seems like pretty non-obvious to me. Like you want, if you can get a health primary with a good high offense secondary, like this would be a decent one to be able to roll. I mean, flat offense and flat protection are not my favorite. Gosh, I keep rolling that flat protection, but you know, rolling the percent offense and speed, pretty decent here. Obviously we don't have tenacity as a third, or potency, like that would maybe make the best mod for him, but you know, tenacity, if you can find some offense for him, like, yes, he's stat hungry, but at the same time, I just put a lot of relics on him. So, you know, like he's relic 8, so he can kind of, like the relics make his offense for him a little bit. Like the thing to keep in mind too, guys, is tenacity isn't something you can get from relics. You can get a lot of other stats, but you can't get tenacity, you can't get speed. You can get offense, you can get crit chance, blah blah blah, you know, health. But tenacity is something you can only find from mods. So keep that in mind as you're modding him. So lots of tenacity secondaries if you can. The speed is obviously nice, but not absolutely important. The big thing is you want him to be fast enough to be able to not get lapped by Mara Jade if you encounter a Star Killer team that you absolutely have to try to wade in with just Wampa to be able to take out. I mean, it's dicey anyways, but anyways, okay, so the final character we're gonna cover tonight, guys, is Royal Guard. And maybe it seems obvious that he wants health. Like, okay, so you put him, the only team he's good on is Lord Vader, and so Lord Vader is like, hey, I turn all your protection into health, so maybe we should give him like protection sets, but put a lot of protection on him as well. And this, we've actually fought about this a little bit online, and it's at the end of the day, though, you have to keep in mind that a unique is applied before a character's leadership is. And so remember, Lord Vader turns everyone's protection into your total, into that total health. Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. I keep having to cough here, guys. So here's the thing about Royal Guard. It's an order of operations things. It's a math thing, okay? And I know you don't want me to talk about math to you, but here's how it works. Is you normally would, the natural reaction is to give him lots of protection, because then the Lord Vader's ability takes all of your protection and turns it into health. So you're like, okay, this is awesome. Like you want that. And then the other piece of it is, so for Royal Guard, he has this thing on his unique where it says it doubles. So he takes some of the leader's max health. That's great. And then doubles his health until the end of the encounter. And so he doubles his own health, and then after that, Lord Vader takes his protection and also folds it into it. But it's an order of operations thing. If he was able to like have the leadership take place before the unique took place, like, so, you know, it's all these different effects that are happening. Like Lord Vader does something to Royal Guard does something to himself, you know, like who does what first, and the order of operations the game operates off of is first the unique on Royal Guard takes place. So in that case, you know, the round starts, you march into a fight, you're attacking someone, this is exciting, and all these things happen like somewhat instantaneously, but they follow a specific order. First, the Royal Guard grabs some of the max health from the leader, and then he doubles his health until the end of the encounter. Once he does that, then Lord Vader takes all of the person's protection and folds that into his health and makes that his entire health pool. And so because of that, you want to give him a lot of health because he is turning he's doubling his health before the order of operation. Like before that happens, you just giving him a bunch of protection is not going to do anything. Like you'd still double his small health pool, but at the end of the day, you want a robust health pool because that's all it's turning into anyways. If it was an opposite order of operations, if it was first Lord Vader turns your protection into health and then it doubles health, then sure, get protection, but it's not. So you can see here, I just have health and that's it. I mean, that's all he just stands there. Don't bother with anything else. Health, maybe some defense is probably fine on him. Though I mean we have all these speed or we have all these health mods from all the events. I don't even bother. Protection, sure, that's great. I mean that's folded into his health as well. But the health is the big thing, guys, because you want to double that. So what happens when you start the match? He turns this 125,000 health into 250,000 health, and then Lord Vader after that adds another 80,000, and then that doesn't even count how much whatever it comes from the leadership. He gets 40% or something like that max health from Lord Vader. So his total health pool is just so obnoxious, but you can get a lot more out of it. Imagine if you will, the math of it, if you went from if you just swapped the health and protection here, just for argument's sake. Okay, I made really quick graphics here just to demonstrate, guys. Okay, so here's the math that I was showing you. If you go with a high health pool first, it's going to end up being 330,000. Not to mention whatever Lord Vader also gives from his leadership. This is just this is his total health. This is your Royal Guard's total health pool, as opposed to if you decide to go with if you decide to go with high protection instead, then you're still going to double your health, but you're going to end up with a significantly smaller health pool. I mean, it is 285,000 still a lot. 330,000, sure, both are pretty impressive, but I mean, one of his 45,000 health, guys. It's not insignificant. It's a pretty big number on its own. So just keep in mind, guys. Health on Royal Guard. And this is backed up by, if you go look at other big guilds. If you don't believe me, then the order of operation. It's also something that's very testable. You guys can find out for yourselves. But anyways, I've just gone and talked forever about only 5 characters on how to mod them better. What things also need health, guys, that I missed? I mean, there's a ton that need health, but this is hopefully this was helpful. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails. Have a good one, guys.